All right, we are live and we are recording. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Very busy week, but a very awesome, productive week. Just connecting with clients, all the people in the iThrive Collective, and then obviously a lot of you new faces coming from maybe Diana's video interview that we did this week. So it's been really awesome being able to connect with you guys, even if it's just having a conversation of what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve, and everything. It's really cool just seeing like my clients and the success that they've had through all of their hard work, and obviously like the process that we've gone through, but a lot of their consistency and having that inspire other people to maybe take the leap themselves or to make some kind of change, or at least start thinking about how they can make this change themselves. So love that. Today I want to talk a little bit about a really cool topic, or something that's super simple, right? Like when it comes to getting some momentum, especially with the summer dying down and wanting to maybe get in the routine of, okay, school's starting back up, getting back into kind of a regular schedule after the crazy summer months. How can I start to lose some of this weight, especially with the holidays coming up in just really a few months? I know a lot of you are trying to lose a little bit of weight before the holidays come, because the holidays always make it a little bit tougher to be in a fat loss phase and lose weight. So now is like the perfect time. If you have goals that you want to achieve, you want to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15, 20, getting started now is really the ideal time before like Thanksgiving comes, Christmas comes, and all that. So I figured it'd be beneficial to jump on here and just talk a little bit about something super simple that you can start implementing literally today to start losing body fat and losing your first 5 pounds, maybe even your first 10 pounds, with not a whole lot of extra effort, really. So the big thing I want to talk about is walking or steps. People highly underrate how valuable walking can be for fat loss, for weight loss, for burning calories, and overall just benefiting your health. So just some like quick statistics here. So I looked up and I just did a quick Google search. So obviously like these numbers vary depending on if you live in Ohio, if you live across the country, if you live in other areas, if you live in the city, if you live in the country. But the average American gets somewhere between 3,000 to 4,000 steps per day, roughly on average, which isn't a whole lot. And that would be considered as like living a pretty sedentary lifestyle. Now, if you are somebody who, let's say you go to the gym 5 days a week, but also only get 3,000 to 4,000 steps, maybe you could, consider yourself a little bit active throughout the week, but 3,000 to 4,000 steps really isn't a whole lot. And it would kind of lump you in that sedentary category, which makes it really hard to lose body fat because you overall just aren't burning enough calories to be able to pull from, right? Like I know, we want to do this priming phase first that I talk about all the time in my podcast and these videos to build our calories up. And that's like one of the biggest keys to having successful fat loss phases. But at the end of the day, even in a fat loss phase, we have to burn more calories than what we eat. And there are strategies that I use with my clients to make that easier, so it's not as hard, to make it more sustainable and all this. But at the end of the day, we have to achieve that. And if we're burning so few of calories per day because we just aren't moving around at all, then it's going to be hard to achieve that calorie deficit without bringing calories down super low. So getting those steps up can make a big impact. So I'm going to tell you a few ways how this can. So benefits of getting more steps. Number one is obviously, I just mentioned, you burn more calories, which is helpful. And I'm going to talk about in a little bit how many calories you actually burn from walking. And this may be surprising to you, maybe not surprising. We're going to talk about it. Number two reason why getting more steps is super beneficial is it doesn't really interfere with recovery. It's a very low stress form of exercise. Like think about going on the elliptical, doing that intensely for 30 to 40 minutes, or think about running sprints, doing 10 different sprints, in a 15-minute increment or something. Think about doing some kind of high intensity jumping around cardio class, right? That takes a lot out of your body, which is good to push our body to that limit sometimes, but we don't want to necessarily be doing that every single day to that high intensity, especially If you're lifting weights too, which you should be lifting weights roughly at least twice a week, but probably 3 to 4 times a week is a really good sweet spot for a lot of people. You want to be doing that at least. So if you're doing that to keep your muscle mass around, you're lifting weights to keep that muscle around, or even build that muscle tone that you're looking for. And on top of that, if every day you're trying to get some form of high intensity cardio in to burn a bunch of calories, it's going to make it really hard to recover from those lifting sessions or to recover from those cardio sessions. And you're going to end up running yourself into the ground. So walking, just simply getting steps in, literally nothing crazy, going outside, going for a walk, walking around your house is a really easy way to burn calories, but it doesn't build up all of that fatigue. So you're not going to get run down from just walking, especially as you build your tolerance up to it. Another really big benefit of walking in steps is you can multitask when doing it and do other productive things. If there's a book that you really have been wanting to read, you can read while walking. If there are things around the house that you need to get done, you need to pick up the toys that your kids threw around the living room, or there's laundry you have to do, or there's yard work you have to do, there's mowing the lawn. Like, those things require you to move around. And those are steps. So you're able to do productive things around your house and almost kill two birds with one stone. And not only are you getting this stuff done around the house, but also you're moving around a lot. Some of the days that I get the most amount of steps currently are days where I have a lot of stuff to do inside of the house, whether it's cleaning up dishes or mowing the lawn. I get a ton of steps. And when I mow the lawn, I probably get usually it takes me an hour to do, the front and the back. I probably get 6,000 to 7,000 steps in just from mowing the lawn for an hour. And on top of that, if there's dishes I have to clean up, or there's toys around the house that we're cleaning up, or there's laundry and having to go up and down the steps or whatever, that takes movement and that takes steps. And going back to not previously, or not now, not currently, because I work from home and I do my coaching and stuff. But when back in college, over the summers, when I would have more active jobs, there was a job I had helping somebody put together patio covers, and we were moving around, walking around all day, I would get so many steps and burn so many calories from that. And it wasn't anything intense. It wasn't any thing, I wasn't out of breath. It wasn't intense movement. It was just literally walking around. So if you have a job that you're able to actually walk around with, that's a huge benefit. But even doing these things around the house, you can multitask and kill two birds with one stone. So that time isn't wasted. Where if the only form of activity or movement or cardio or whatever you're trying to do is go on the elliptical or the treadmill every single time, then you aren't able to, complete those other tasks simultaneously. Another big benefit of steps is that you can do something that's relaxing almost when you do it, or enjoyable. I mentioned reading a book. That could be your kind of downtime or wind down time, and you can do that while you walk maybe. I find it a little bit difficult to read while I walk, but I know plenty of people who read books while they walk, whether they have something on their treadmill to set their book up with or whatever. But a lot of people do it. Other things, you can watch TV when you walk, especially now with the way most people have some kind of smartphone. You could pull up Netflix, you could pull up YouTube, prop that up right in front of your treadmill, or just hold it in your hand. And you could walk while watching TV or watching a YouTube video that is entertaining to you. You can scroll through TikTok. I've done that before. I'll admit, I've walked on my walking pad in the basement and scrolled on TikTok before for 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour to get in, a few thousand steps at least, with that. So you can do some of these things that are even more mindless too. You can listen to a beneficial podcast. You could pull up a really good playlist as far as music and just enjoy that. So you can do some of these more enjoyable things too, and especially starting your day off with it early in the morning. You can kind of do your early morning reflection, for 15 minutes, getting in your own walk, or even at the end of the day, kind of winding down. It's also a really great way to bond with your family too. I know people who have implemented daily walks in their evenings with their kids, with their family, and it's made them overall closer. Like they have something that they all do together, even if it's just for like 10 to 15 minutes. Like that could be a good bonding experience, going outside, at the end of the evening, going for a walk, without the phones, without the TV, without the distractions. So it can be a really beneficial thing to do there. And also it's really good for your mental health to, get outside when the weather's nice and get fresh air and all of that too. Another benefit of walking, which actually I'll touch on in a second. First, I do want to give a huge shout out to one of our members of the I Thrive Collective, Haley Esterly. Believe I pronounced that right. She absolutely crushed July Step Challenge, so kind of fitting with the topic today, but she crushed July Step Challenge. She was one of our top 3 winners, so she was able to win a gift card. We do cash prize giveaways, challenges every single month if you're inside of there. But also, I don't know if I would say more importantly, but probably to her, she actually lost 6 pounds for the month of July and lost 2 inches off of her waist by participating in the step challenge, by crushing it. I think she hit 10,000 steps, every single day for the month of July. And she made some nutrition changes, emphasized more protein and stuff, but the big thing that she changed was just walking more. So that's proof right there that something this simple can help you to lose your first 5 pounds. So, if you want help losing your first 5 pounds, you can go ahead and join the I Thrive Collective. Comment below if you want more details on where to join there. There's a ton of other stuff inside of, this private group too. Recipe ideas, workouts to follow, weekly Q&As, things to unlock, tons of videos in the classroom section educating you and showing you how to implement these nutrition phases that I do with my clients. And then there's ways for you to unlock personalized one-on-one support from me too in there. So you can join currently for $25 a month, which is like less than 2 Chipotle trips, probably, maybe 2 Chipotle trips. For me, it's 2 because I always get double steak. But for 2 Chipotle trips, less than $1 a day. Virtually no risk in joining. You can cancel at any time, but there's a ton of value in there. And we're currently doing a challenge for August where there's a big giveaway of $300 cash prize too. We're going to do another giveaway in September along with everything else we have going on in there. So, if you're looking to lose your first 5 pounds, would definitely recommend you joining. So comment below if you want details on how to join that, or I could just post a link below too, which I might even do that. But going back to the topic for the step or for like walking, getting steps, kind of a fifth benefit of this is that you don't need equipment for it. You don't have to necessarily go to the gym to get your steps in. You might think, well, the weather's crappy. I don't have a treadmill at home. You can walk around your house. I have walked around the island in our kitchen. I've walked around multiple rooms. I've walked even up and down the steps. That's bonus points if you want to actually like go up and down the stairs for your steps. But you can walk around your house to get your steps in. Like you don't need any actual equipment, which makes it super convenient to where really nobody has an excuse to not be able to walk more unless they're working, 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day, and their job literally requires you to sit at a computer and your boss tells you, hey, you're not allowed to bring in some kind of walking pad. You're not allowed to get a stand-up desk. Like you have to sit down. Like there, maybe you can't do too much about it, but if you're at home, like you can get those steps in with no equipment. Also regarding being productive too, you can get a ton of steps in going to the grocery store. Like every time we go to the grocery store, I'm like, yes, I'm going to knock out probably a couple thousand steps from not even trying, just from going grocery shopping. So another benefit there too. But let's talk about how many calories you actually burn from walking. So we mentioned that, most people get 3,000 to 4,000 steps on average, the average American at least. And if we were to aim for something like 10,000, so let's say 6,000 extra, how many extra calories are we actually talking that we burn from this? So looked up a couple of calculators, and it kind of depends on what calculator, obviously, and it also depends on what your current body weight is too. Also, it probably depends on how much in shape you are, but on average, I looked up a couple of equations, and this is what I found. So for somebody who is 200 pounds roughly, they are going to burn about 50 calories for every 1,000 steps that you take. So if you walk 4,000 steps per day, that's going to be about 200 calories that you're burning. If you walk 10,000 steps per day, that's going to be about 500 extra calories that you burn, aside from like compared to if you literally took 0 steps. So if you go from, let's say, the average of 4,000, which is the average American steps, to 10,000 per day, you're going to be burning an extra 300 roughly calories per day from those steps. And it might not seem like a big difference, but 300 calories actually is. Because if we want to lose about a pound of body fat per week, we want to be in roughly a 500 calorie deficit, eating less or 500 calories less than what we burn roughly per day in order to achieve that 1 pound of fat loss per week. And if you go from walking 4,000 steps per day to 10,000, that's 300 of those calories roughly that is being taken up from or being accounted for from extra activity, which means to achieve a 500 calorie deficit, you might only have to bring your calories down by, let's say, roughly 200. And maybe because of some thermogenesis stuff and metabolism stuff, maybe you have to bring your calories down by 300 to achieve that 500 calorie deficit. But that's a topic for another day. But those extra steps will allow you to be able to lose the same amount of body fat without having to bring your calories as low. Versus, like, let's say if you're somebody who you burn 2,000 calories per day, walking 4,000 steps per day, and you bump those steps up to 10,000, now you're burning 2,300 calories. Now, instead of having to eat, let's say, roughly 1,500 to lose 1 pound of fat, you're able to eat 1,800 to lose 1 pound of fat on average each week, which is a big difference. 300 calories is a big difference, especially, when we're talking about being in a fat loss phase, bring calories down a little bit. That could be the difference between having that like good nightly snack that helps you feel full and satisfied before going to bed versus feeling like you're starving trying to fall asleep and stick with this diet. And that could be the deciding factor on you being able to stick with it, seeing results or not. So it can make a big difference. It can allow you to not have to bring your calories down as much when you're in a fat loss phase. It can allow you to eat a little bit more when being in a fat loss phase. It can also allow you to eat a little bit more even being in a maintenance phase. Like even if you've lost all the weight that you want to lose, or you don't really care to lose much more body fat and you're just struggling to maintain your weight, getting those extra steps will allow you to eat a little bit more food at baseline, but still maintain your weight, which is really beneficial because a lot of people don't have a problem with even losing weight. People have a problem with keeping the weight off. So keeping that baseline amount of calories you burn or that activity up is super beneficial too. And also too, when you might think, well, I don't even care. I don't want to get those extra steps in. I'd rather just bring my calories down lower. And in theory, it might sound like that'll work. But when you're not active at all and your activity is really low, your body or your metabolism will adjust to the decrease in calories a little bit more. And it's going to make it harder to actually see that calorie deficit. Like if you're only walking 3,000 steps per day and then you bring your calories down to 1,200, your body's going to adapt to that lower calorie intake faster than if you were walking 8,000 steps per day and you were burning an extra few hundred calories per day. Your body's not going to adapt to that reduction in calories as much. Same thing goes even on the extreme end of if you're getting like 20,000 steps per day, your body's going to adapt more with even that extreme level of activity versus like a more moderate level of activity. And same thing on the low end, the extreme level of sedentary or being inactive, your body's going to adapt a little bit more to that. So both extremes, your metabolism and everything will adjust a little bit more, but that sweet spot is probably right around like that 10,000 step mark for most people. So what I recommend for like general health at just kind of maintenance, anywhere from like 7,500 to maybe 8,000 steps per day. And that's pretty clear in a lot of the research that's kind of the rough number to like max out the health benefits. So not necessarily the fat loss benefits, but the health benefits of the getting those steps in. Anything above 8,000, you don't really get any additional health benefits unless it helps you lose weight and get to a healthy body weight. But assuming you're already there, 8,000 is a good, really good kind of maintenance level. So that's typically where I have clients in their maintenance phases, even in their priming phases and their diet breaks when maybe we aren't pushing for fat loss as much. And in fat loss phases, a lot of times we'll go up to 10,000. Some people, if they're a little bit smaller, might have to go up to 11,000, 12,000. But most people with the right nutrition adjustments, 10,000 is a really good mark to see sustainable and consistent fat loss. Like I said, as long as, their nutrition is in point and they're, strength training around 3 times per week at least. But this is, like I said, a really simple thing you can start literally implementing today. You can start today getting, 8,000 steps, 10,000 steps, and immediately start feeling better too. Also, like I said, you get a ton of health benefits or mental health benefits from just walking, clearing your head, especially starting your day and ending your day with a good, even just 5 to 10 minute walk. Especially if you pair it with something like getting outside, getting some fresh air, you pair it with a good podcast that gets you in the right headspace. You pair it with, even like walking can help us to regulate our appetite and our digestion a little bit better too. A lot of times people will be really constipated too and feel like their digestion is off. And a big part of that can be because you just aren't moving around as much. So all that food just doesn't get that extra motion to push it through as much. Obviously our digestive system does, on its own push food through. It's not just going to sit there, but it can help for things to pass a little bit more regularly too. So I really encourage you, if you're watching this, to get some kind of step tracker. And it doesn't have to be a fancy Apple Watch, doesn't have to be a fancy Fitbit. It can literally just be like a $20 pedometer you find on Amazon. But start tracking your steps and seeing where your steps are. And if you're not at 8,000, what I would do is I would slowly increase your steps every single week, maybe by 1,000 each week. So if you're at 4,000 right now, maybe next week or maybe right now, start aiming for 5 and then hit that consistently for a week or two, then bump up to 6, do that for a week or two, bump up to 7, and slowly start building yourself up to 8,000 if you're just kind of focusing on maintenance, and then maybe making sure you at least hit 10,000 if fat loss is kind of on your agenda right now. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know, in the comments if you do end up getting those 8,000 steps or 10,000 steps and start implementing this. And let me know if you do, a few weeks later or a week later, how much better you feel.